Welcome to the Deal Finders Corners, your weekly property talk show brought to you by Property Filter, hosted by myself, Guillaume Black, your favorite Frenchman, CEO and co-founder at Property Filter. So it's the UK's highest rated platform to find deals, and we are on a mission to empower our property investor and deal sourcer members to find 1,000 deals this year, thanks to the Property Filter blueprint. The purpose with your Deal Finders Corner is to give you more of the best of the available resources, inviting expert guests who will be sharing with you the latest and the most current strategies, tactics, and secrets about what actually works right now in terms of finding and making deals and the reality of systematizing and running a high-performance business in property. It's really my pleasure today to introduce you with my good friend Paul Stapleton on today's Deal Finders Corner. So Paul is going to tell us how to run a six-figure sourcing business. Paul is a multiple business owner specializing in off-market buy-to-let sales. That's landlord to landlord, investor to investor, property education, sales training, and is the co-founder of the Peak Performance event down in London, which I attended last month and was really incredible. We had Rob Moore and quite a few others. So really, really good if you're down in London. It's a biannual event, I believe, which, one not to be missed. So after a decade of lucrative property sourcing, this has given him the knowledge, industry insight, and experience to offer education to budding property professionals. With 15 years of sales and negotiation, and is back in and training people sales and negotiation during that time, Paul is able to understand the necessary and what is necessary for a successful transaction and where and how these can flatter. So he mentors the next generation who have or are thinking of making the leap from employee to creating their own destiny. Remembering his own leap, he finds great satisfaction enabling others to avoid the pitfalls so many of us fall in when we start into this venture or journey. So with Paul, one can learn about business structure and setup, property sourcing and investing, deal analysis, negotiation and selling. And Paul offers a sounding board to his clients to explore ideas into the future plans. And his coaching program provides the tools, the resources to promote self-awareness, confidence, personal and professional excellence, and knowing how to move forward to a positive and prosperous future. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing more about Paul's talk today. Please give a massive virtual welcome to Mr. Paul Stapleton.
Thank you very much, mate. What a great write-up you did for me.
Thank you. I did my research.
Perfect. So let me share my screen because I've got some slides to just kind of share, just to kind of explain a bit more about my experience and who I am. So can everyone see that? Thumbs up? Yeah. Perfect. Right. So as just mentioned, I'm a multiple business owner. I have 3 companies. I have Casita Properties, which Casita Properties is a landlord to landlord selling service. I've been in off-market buy-to-let sales now approaching 10 years. I've seen lots of the good, I've seen lots of the bad, I've seen what works, I've seen what doesn't work. And Casita Properties was formed to basically provide a service that I think estate agents, and I apologize if there are any estate agents on here tonight, but many estate agents, should I say, struggle to grasp when selling tenanted and buy-to-let properties. So we'll delve into that a little bit more, but that's just an introduction to Casita Properties. I'm also the co-founder with my business partner, Aaron Knightley, of Peak Performance Events. It's the fastest growing entrepreneur event in the UK. Right now it's based in London. So we've just hosted our 5th event, which Property Filter was kind enough to be one of our sponsors. We had some huge guests in the likes of Rob Moore. We had Arshdeep Sunny, Jade Beeson. We're sponsored. Our main sponsor is Alan Sugar. So we have great connections there. So yeah, it's a great event if you're looking to be amongst 250 like-minded entrepreneurs in a room, both networking and learning from some of the best in the game. And the best thing of all, there is 0 selling on the evening. There are no run to the back of the room pitches or anything like that. This is purely leave your checkbook at home, get your book out, get your pad and pen, and just literally learn and come away with some great networking. My other company is Sales Training Made Simple. As mentioned, I've been in sales and a sales trainer for over 15 years. I formed this company 8 years ago. And we work with people within not only the property industry, but we work with people within recruitment, insurance, any industry that selling is involved, which is basically most, we cater for. And we are expanding this year into a new venture, which is property training made simple. So right now, sales training made simple encompasses property training, but we're branching out to set that as a separate entity. So that's just an introduction to who I am, what I do, the businesses that I run. So tonight, I'm kind of, we had an in-depth conversation about what we think the audience would like to understand, would like to hear. I'd like to think I'm very different to most educators when it comes to property, because I don't gloss things up. I don't try to polish a turd and tell you how easy it is and tell you that you're going to be a millionaire overnight and you're going to get your first deal next week if you use my script. Firstly, I don't believe in scripts, and secondly, this is a slow burner. So I'm brutally honest, and I focus a lot of my energy on things that potentially you may have not even thought about before. So in tonight's session, what we're going to be covering is actually the importance of having sales skills. I think it's one of the most underrated things when it comes to people entering the property market. They think if they understand a strategy and they understand the product or the service, that's enough. Unfortunately, it's not, because anyone could read a book and know the product or know what the actual strategy is. But unless you physically understand how you can sell that strategy or negotiate deals, or you can go out there and build a brand and sell a brand, it's not going to matter. But there's a saying where knowledge is power, but in my eyes, knowledge is only potential power. You have to understand how to use that power. There's no good being an encyclopedia of knowledge. So we're going to have a little session on the importance of that. The next session is the consequences of not understanding sales progression. So how I see it, within a business, especially a property business, you wear 3 hats. We have our sourcing hat, have to be good at finding deals, negotiating deals. We then have the middle hat, which is either your developing hat, or it might be your selling hat, you're selling a deal that you've sourced onto an investor. For me, the third hat is the most important hat, and it's sales progression, because you may be fantastic at finding deals, you may be great at selling deals, but if you haven't got a clue what happens after the investor says yes, that is where the bulk of deals fall through, because most people allow it to organically go through with solicitors, mortgage brokers, surveyors. And unfortunately, and again, apologies if we have any in the group, there are good solicitors, there are good mortgage brokers, but there are some absolute shockers out there, and they can be the reason that your sales can fall through. So having a really good understanding of sales progression for me is the most important. And I have a diagram that I use when I'm doing in-house training, which is, imagine a game of golf. Your tee shot is finding a property. Your chip on the green is selling the property. But when you're on the green, it may take you 1 putt, 2 putt, it may take you 10 putts to get that in the hole. And that is your sales progression. It's the longest part of the transaction. It may take you 2 weeks to find a deal, 2 weeks to sell it, but it's going to take you 3 to 6 months to get that through to completion. So for me, it's the most important part of any transaction. So we're going to run through a few little tips that I have on that. And then what we thought would be really good is to actually show you guys what I do, the strategy that I apply, which is, I've spent many, many hours on YouTube. I cannot find any videos on YouTube that explains what I do. So it's a bit of a hidden strategy. Not many people know about it. Not many people understand how it works. A lot of people think it can't be done, but I do it every day for the last 8 years. And it's a great way of moving away from getting 1 or 2% commission, or £2,000, £3,000 commission, and actually making 5-figure commissions on each property that you source. So I'm going to explain a little bit about that towards the end as well. So let's get started. So the importance of sales skills. So as I said to you, the first thing is telling is not selling. A lot of bad salesmen and salespeople will think, keep throwing benefits of how good, how amazing you are will sell the product, or a nice glossy brochure telling you all about the product is going to sell it. Unfortunately, it's not. Now, I was quite lucky in my early career to be trained on a 2-day course by Jordan Belfort. So the company that I was working with, they employed him, £60,000 for 2 days to come in and train our team. And for those that have seen the film where he says, "Sell me the pen," many people will straight away run in and say, they'll look at the pen and they will say, right, the great thing about this pen is it's X, Y, and Z. And that's telling, that's not selling. The main thing about sales is being an expert listener and a really, really good question asker. So you need to be in a position where you can ask the right questions and then listen to the answers, which is how people will tell you what they're looking for and how you sell them. So if you imagine we use the case of a pen, if I was naive enough to think everybody wanted a blue Bic biro, not everybody does, so I probably wouldn't sell a lot of pens. But if the second someone approached me, I asked, what is it that you are looking for? Effectively, that question is, tell me how to sell to you. And by just sitting back and listening and letting the prospect talk and talk and talk, before you know it, they're telling you 10 different reasons why they want to buy something and what their motivation is. So, for instance, as an investor, it could be that they're looking for somewhere safe to keep their capital. It could be that they're looking for income. It could be that they're looking for capital growth. But if you just assume that everyone was looking for high income properties, or everyone was looking for capital growth, or everyone was looking for flips, you'd probably burn more leads than you would actually close. So being a skillful question asker and an expert listener is going to be probably the most important skill that you apply at the very start of any conversation that you have, either with a potential person selling their property, understanding their motivation in selling it and why they want to sell it, and also understanding an investor's motivation. What are they looking for? What is it that they want to invest for? How long are they looking to invest for? Are they investing for their kids? Are they investing for their retirement? Are they investing for themselves? Because when you know this information, you can use that information to make them feel comfortable with your offering. So as I said, just remember that telling is not selling. It's all about asking the right questions and just sitting back and listening. The next thing, and I did see someone in the comment section actually say something which will probably relate to the next 2 slides. So the next thing is knowing your target audience. Now, I think a lot of people are quite guilty of being that person that tries to source everything for everyone in every location and probably not achieving very much. Put your hand up if you think that's you at the moment, guys. Mm-hmm. So probably a few of us, right? I was guilty of that at the start. I didn't really know what I wanted to source. I knew that I could source anything, and I knew if someone gave me a shopping list, I could go and get that. But what you become is you become a bit of a busy fool because you're not concentrating on just one thing. What it also does is it discredits you as being an expert in one particular field. So for some of you, you might be location specific. So your patch might be, let's say your patch is Warrington, for instance. Now, if you're speaking to estate agents every week and they're getting to know you, and one week you're looking for properties that are ideal for HMO conversion, the next week you're looking for land without planning, the next week you're looking for turnkey buy-to-let properties, the next week you're looking for flats that are good for SA, they're not going to take you seriously, and they're never going to understand what properties to actually send you. So if you pick your niche and you understand exactly what it is that you're looking to be an expert in, for me, I realized that there was a gap in the market for people wanting to sell tenanted properties. Through my own experience with estate agents, I noticed that the motivation behind someone selling their residential home and someone selling a tenanted buy-to-let are very different. if you're selling your home because you want to move and you want to upgrade, you're going to be extremely accommodating. You're going to be happy to host a open day every weekend. You're going to be happy to take the dog out for an extra long walk in the evening after work so that they can come in, obviously, do a viewing. But when you're a tenant, there are so many variables that are unknown to you. Who are they selling to? What's this next landlord going to be like? Are they going to kick me out? Are they going to increase my rent? There are so many things that straight away their backs are up. And unless you work with that tenant and you get them on your side, it's very easy with estate agents that all they want to do is get people through the door. They want to book viewings. Every time you call, you've not even introduced yourself. You'll ask, is 123 London Road available? And they'd say, it is, yes, would you like to book a viewing? And they're piling people through the door. And before long, what happens is you piss your tenant off really quickly. And that tenant decides to not answer the phone anymore. They decide not to respond to letters. In some cases, they may decide that they're not going to pay anymore. And then you're left not able to sell your house because effectively your tenant has become a bit of a gatekeeper. So I realized that it was really important to understand how to manage tenants. And I decided, you know what, that's the route I'm going to take. So it was all about working backwards. Once I understood what product I wanted to sell, I had to think about, okay, who would want to buy this product? So who wants to buy tenanted properties? Well, it's not going to be developers because they want to add value. It's not going to be property investors as such that want to invest in, say, BRR or something like that. It's going to be probably your busy people approaching retirement that want something that's maybe turnkey, that would be income generating already. And it's just the case. Has someone got their mic on? Are we able to mute everyone? Cool. Yeah. So it's gonna be someone who wants an income generating turnkey product. So straight away, I understood who my audience was. It was then about understanding, well, where do those people look for deals? Are they looking for deals? Who do I work with? How do I find those? So understanding who your audience is, the demographic, what is their age? Are they location specific? Do they hang about on social media? Where am I going to target them? It's one of the most important things at the very start to understand. People endlessly post stuff on social media, and a lot of us post without actually having an end goal from it. We might think if we post a picture of us waving a set of keys, everyone's going to start flooding in deals to us. But reality is 200 people looked at it and 5 people liked it. So you have to think about where you're actually advertising and are you actually reaching your target audience? So for me, I was looking for busy working professionals approaching retirement age. The only way of me getting that demographic was either sponsored ads on Facebook, where I can narrow it down to a demographic, or somewhere like LinkedIn, where you can put demographics of location, type of job. You can put company that they might work for if you're specifically looking for, let's say, for instance, a lot of people want to work with people in the medical industry. They want to work with nurses, doctors, surgeons, and provide them with something. So you can narrow that down using really smart searches in LinkedIn. And look, let's be honest, LinkedIn's a professional platform for professional people wanting to do professional business. So it makes sense to go to that platform. So really work out who your target audience is and then understand them. And you can do this so many ways. You can do polls on LinkedIn to understand who your audience are, ask the right questions, people vote on your poll, and then they're basically inbound leads for you. You can then outbound message those people. You might put something like, are you happy with your current retirement plan? Yes, no, not sure, probably need to reevaluate. So all the people that say no, need to reevaluate and open to maybe looking at something else, you can reach out to them and talk to them about your service. You might put something out about people being frustrated with selling online through estate agents. you might get people that have had it on the market for a long time and decide, you know what, yeah, that makes sense what they're saying. Yes, I am fed up with that. I would like to sell it to investors. It's a great way of getting people to vote on your poll, and they effectively become a lead, and then you can speak to those people. It's not a cold approach because they've already interacted with you. The next thing, identifying your USPs. Now, this is really important because if we look at the estate agency model, what separates one estate agent from another agent? Well, that usually, what does it boil down to? It boils down to their fee, because they're all pretty much the same. They all stick it in a shop window and chuck it on Rightmove. And it's one thing I don't understand when people go with two estate agents in the same high street, because they're only going to do the same thing. They're only going to whack it on Rightmove, Zoopla, put it into their database. Half the time, if I'm looking to move or if I'm looking for a property, I'm registered with every single agent anyway. So 9 times out of 10, they have the same database. So what you have to do is you have to identify a gap in the market or something that you think you're doing differently or in a different way, or the USP might even be you. It might just be that people will buy into you, because let's be honest, if I'm charging 5 figures for me to sell your property, the person's got to like me, because if John down the road is charging 1% at an estate agency, if it was about the price, they would go to them every time. But people buy from people that they like. So your USP might just be you, your knowledge, your offering, your branding, your service, your approach, whatever it might be. I've had people say to me, you know what? I don't usually respond to cold calls, or I don't usually respond to cold emails, but I like how you did it. And then that starts the conversation. So it's all about identifying what your USP is and then using that to obviously gain the business and separate yourself from the competition. The next thing, like we said, asking skillful questions. So it's going to be about establishing your client's pain points. So if I'm using my business as an example, my clients' pain points are they're fed up of endless viewings. They're fed up of lowball offers. They're fed up of the estate agent calling them constantly to book viewings in. They're fed up of their properties getting damaged from all the open days. They don't like the high level of exposure when they've got tenants in there, of it being on Rightmove because the tenants aren't happy. There's so many different pain points that you can have. And then what it is really that you want to be doing is this exercise. Now, this is such a simple exercise, guys, and I think it's quite underlooked. It's one of the first exercises I ever did when I got a sales trainer, and it's a take on something that Benjamin Franklin used to do whenever he faced a hard decision. He would draw a line down the middle of the page, and they'd write the pros and the cons of every decision he would make. And if the cons outweighed the pros, then obviously he wouldn't go ahead with that decision. And if the pros outweighed the other way, then he'd go with it. What I've done here is a way of listing all of the pain points that your ideal client would have on one side. On the opposite side, you list every single USP of your business, your product, and your service. And then this is just a really, really simple exercise whereby you then just draw a line to match them up. So let's say, for instance, some of my pain points might be the fact that let's say unqualified buyers. Yeah, let's say a lot of them were fed up with unqualified buyers, or they might be fed up with constant deals falling through. My USPs would be the fact that I have a full-time sales progressor that's in-house. She doesn't work 1 day or 2 days. She works 9 to 6 every single day. She's there constantly chasing solicitors, mortgage brokers, surveyors, lenders, every single person involved in that transaction, even if it's the council, because we're waiting on a local search, she's on the phone to them. That's the kind of detail that gets deals through. So straight away, that's a great USP that if someone says, you know what, the biggest problem I've had right now is that I've had 2 sales fall through. Okay, well, let me just tell you what we do over here. Firstly, it's probably down to them not being qualified properly. Now, typically estate agents will ask for a decision in principle. As we all know, they mean 0, because you can still pay for a survey and then still not get a mortgage offer. You won't get accepted. So decision in principles are exactly what they say. In principle, they'll still require more information. They can still turn you down. Secondly, they ask you where your source of funds are coming from, and you tell them. Half of the time they won't ask to see proof of funds. And guess what? If they do, I can call my good friend up and say, do me a favor, can you just transfer me 50 grand quickly into the account and I'll ping it back to you? It's very easy to mislead people with proof of funds. What we do to combat that is our investors all come from an FCA regulated financial advisory firm. So not only do they have proof of funds and AML and everything like that, but they actually pay £3,995 plus VAT to have a full financial health check from the financial advisor. That's across their pensions, their business, everything like that. And if they meet the criteria for a property investor as part of their retirement plan, then they're passed over to us. So that is the level of caliber of client that we have. And because they've paid £4,000, they basically take our advice, because why pay that money if you're not going to take the advice? So straight away, I have 2 of my USPs that meet that one pain point. And there's certain pain points that I might have 3 USPs, and there'll be certain USPs that maybe answer 4 different pain points. So you end up having this diagram which has arrows pointing everywhere, but you have enough ammunition that whatever pain point someone throws at you, you don't have to think about it, you already know. And you don't list off all 3 of the USPs, you list one off and then you go to close them. And if they're not still quite happy with that, then you go back and you list another USP and you go to close them. And if they're still not happy, then you go over your next one. So it's a really simple exercise that I would suggest everyone does. And I promise you, it will completely change the way that you pitch to your investors, the way that you pitch to any landlords or estate agents that you might work with, and you'll just be so much more prepared than if someone throws a pain point at you and you don't actually know how to answer it. Because I'm sure we've all been there, someone's thrown an objection at us and we've just kind of been like, oh, okay, no problem, thanks very much, and then you end the call because you don't know where to go. I was taught this acronym called the 6 Ps before, and the 6 Ps stood for, let me get this right, proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. And it stuck with me because it just makes sense that if you're prepared, you shouldn't be able to fail. That's it. It's as simple as that. If you have enough ammunition in your armory, you should be able to handle any objection out there. So that's just touching on this little lesson about sales. Again, this is only a skim over it and just part of obviously what I do with my mentees, but I just thought I'll give you an exercise, guys, that you can take away from this call and apply straight into your business. And as I said, I promise the application of this is key. Like, put it into your business straight away. The last thing I will leave you with before we move on to sales progression is, let me just close off of this and just so I can see everyone. How many people, when you're posting on social media, tend to post their USPs? How many of us? Show of hands. So how many people are
I'll do a poll if you want, Paul. I'll do a poll and we'll ask everybody.
It'll be really interesting because most people will be, the great thing about us is XYZ. And they don't tend to be relatable to people. But what is relatable is if you lead with a pain point instead. The USP can come after. So it might be something like, how many of you are, or who's fed up with deals constantly falling through? Something that they can relate to. Are you tired of endless viewings that don't go anywhere? They're all things that I can relate to and think, yeah, you know what? I am tired of that. And then they scroll down and then there is your USP. So again, it's another little thing. It's not just for your objection handling, but you can use this for your content on social media as well. So let's just head back to the slides. So you need to understand sales progression. This for me is like the biggest reason that deals fall through. And look, I've been to a lot of these mastermind boot camps and all of that crap that they want to call it and package it as, to secret shop them. Not one of them teach you what happens after the client says yes and it goes over to the solicitors. And when you speak to estate agents as well, estate agents don't have sales progressors anymore. Everyone is having to progress their own deals. Half the time in these estate agents, they're 12-year-old boys wearing their dad's suits. They haven't got a clue. They've never bought a house in their life. They haven't been through the process. All they ever say is, can you let me know when we're going to exchange? Well, guess what? There's about 10 milestones before we exchange. We've not even had a survey, mate. So again, having a great understanding of all these different milestones is going to be essential. Right. So let me get rid of this. Right. So the main reasons in
if you want to comment on the poll, so 75% of people don't lead their post by pain points.
They don't. Okay. Yeah. And the thing is, it's nothing to think, oh, how stupid am I? Because it's just not the way we're programmed. Everyone thinks by, as I said, waving the set of keys is going to generate you more investors. It's not. What's going to gain you more investors is being relatable. At our last peak performance events, and I don't know if you remember, mate, but Jay Beeson, who is a big YouTube marketing mentor, she said that there's different types of content. There's relatable content, there's the viral content, the silly stuff, the dancing content, there's educational content, and I can't remember what the fourth one is, but the relatable content is the emotional one. And when you're thinking about investors, most investors buy on emotion. They're not buying with logic half the time, because if they were, they wouldn't even care what a house looked like, but it would just be down to the spreadsheet and the figures. So
I've picked up my note, Paul. So education, entertaining, inspirational, and relatable.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, there's the four different types there. And for me, I think relatable is always the key one, because you want people to relate to you. You want them to relate to your offering, to your product, to your service, to your company, to your values, to whatever it might be. You want them to relate to you, because as I said before, look, there's two of us here that do exactly the same job. You charge 1%, I charge 2%. If I don't like you, who charges 1%, I'm gonna go with the person that charges 2%. It's not about the price. People will be happy to pay the price if they're working with someone that they like. It's like going to a restaurant. You don't pay the high price of food if you don't like the service. As good as the food is, if the service is bad, you're not going to go there. So again, go to the relatable content. So main reasons: a lack of understanding the basic milestones, 100%. People that don't understand it, and they're constantly, you might as well say exchange is the end of the line, because most deals now are simultaneously exchanging and completing on the same day or within a week. So your goal is basically 90% of the way down the line. So if you're not thinking about the steps in between, you've got no chance. Lack of communication with both sides, 100%. If you don't know what both sides are doing, how the hell can you manage your clients? How the hell can you expect that to get through? Believing deals can complete organically. Again, a lot of people, this is what they're doing, and it's not their fault. It's what they've been taught. They've been taught all you need to focus on is just adding more deals to the pipeline. And the only reason you've got to have a big pipeline is because 50% of your deals are falling through due to a lack of understanding and education. So, I mean, like, if you could use the same work ethic to get more and more deals and focus on getting your deals through, then you're gonna be in a great position to make a lot of money. A lot of people lack problem solving skills. So a lot of people are reactive as opposed to proactive to situations. I do a lot with estate agents, and one common thing that estate agents will say to myself or to my sales progressor is the deals that don't go through smoothly, that we have lots and lots of problems, and typically it's always going to be that first deal that you do with them, that one that they say, we're going to test you out, and you're praying goes really well. But what makes you stand out from the crowd is not about those easy and successful deals that go through. Sometimes it's those deals that don't go through, but you did every potential route to solving that problem, and you just came across so much more credible. And if that deal goes through, then great. But what they're used to is if an obstacle comes up, everyone just walking away from that deal because they don't have the knowledge or the problem solving skills to deal with that. And that could be, I'll give you a prime example. I was offered a property in Bogner Regis, Skegness, and it was beautiful, really nice property, and the deal fell through because it was next door to a B&B that had a bar, and outside it had like the big kind of awning saying Tetley's Brewery and stuff like that, table and chairs outside, and the deal fell through, and they dropped the price dramatically, thinking it could only go to cash buyers. Now, my sales progressor lives probably about 15 minutes away from there. And I said to her, just do me a favor, just go down there and have a little look around and stuff like that. And there was a bloke sitting outside this particular Airbnb, and she got talking to him. It actually turned out that this was no longer a B&B. This guy had purchased this hotel when it came up for sale because of the nostalgia of where he used to go with his mum and dad before they passed. And because he had those fond memories, he's just not changed the decor. He's kept the pub downstairs, he's kept the awnings, no longer a working business. Now, when we put in a mortgage application and this was flagged, we then had the ammo to then go back and say, well, actually, it's no longer trading and it doesn't have that license. But because the estate agent was happy just to say, oh, yeah, it's a bar, it's a pub, we can't do that, they lost the sale, we gained it. And that's what I mean. It's just about being proactive. I'm not saying you've got to travel every time, but just always look, is there a way of getting this to work? The next thing, not managing your 9-to-5 working hours correctly. Now, for a lot of property sourcers, I know that they can't afford not to have some form of job whilst building this kind of business. It is what they call, I hate the word, but side hustle. If that is the case, what you have to understand is sales progression is a 9-to-5 job, because you're dealing with 9-to-5 people that like to clock at 9 and clock off at 5. There's none of this working outside of working hours with them. So if you are working, it's about utilizing your early mornings and your lunch breaks and stuff like that to try and get deals through. So one way that we can really help with sales progression and getting deals through is doing full due diligence up front. So we use this term that lots of people are happy to put fires out rather than preventing them from up front. So what that basically means is a lot of people go, well, if anything comes up, we'll just deal with it. Why would you do that? Why would you do all the work and then allow yourself to be teed up for that deal to pull through? So what we do as a business now is before we launch any property, we basically request all the information that a solicitor is going to request for the contract pack. So we want to make sure that if it's a buy-to-let, it has a valid electrical certificate, valid gas certificate, got fire alarms, it's got smoke alarms, got carbon monoxide detectors. There's no outstanding issues with the tenants, where the deposits lodged, have they got the tenant handbook, AST, rent arrears, every single thing we ask for. Now, a lot of people that I've said this to, they go, oh, I bet they don't want to give you that. And I'm like, it's how you package it. Now, we come across ultra credible because what we're doing is preventing their deal from falling through further down the line or delaying a deal if they don't have, if their certificates are expired and stuff like that. So again, it's all about how you sell yourself and your service and your brand and everything like that to them. But 100%, like, some people will get the hump providing all that information. But what you've got to ask is, would they have the hump more if you didn't bring that up at the start and the deal fell through 3 months down the line when they've incurred lots of costs? And that's just how brutally honest you have to be. And I understand at the start of people's careers, you don't want to lose a deal and you don't want to come across bullish, but you know what? I haven't got to where I am from mincing my words. I go in, I say it how it is. People might hate me at the start, but they love me when the deal completes in record time. That's how I see it. So your due diligence up front is 100% essential. We have our own property inspection form, but we also employ a third-party service to go out and do full due diligence in every deal as well. So we use a company called Viewber. They're independent viewing agents. They do 12 professional photos. They do a video walkthrough, and they do a property inspection, which is, I'd say it's somewhere between an inventory when you're letting a property out and a home buyers report, somewhere in between there. You get that for £120. And what I found is it actually helps when it comes to selling on to an investor, because what they appreciate is that you haven't glossed it up. You've got a third party company that's gone out there. It's a completely unbiased opinion. And they won't gloss it. If they think the carpet on the stairs is frayed and it needs replacing, they will put that in there. So that's the kind of level that we go to. It might not work for everyone, and you might not have budget to spend £120 on properties that you haven't sold. But again, that's why we've got a high rate of completions and a really low rate of fall throughs. Your power team. Now, everyone talks about a power team, but having a really good power team. Now, some of you, it'll be easier to build a power team because you might just be dealing with a local area. So you've got a good surveyor, you've got a good agent, you've got a good property tax specialist, you've got a good mortgage broker. We deal with the whole of England. So we've got to have people in different pockets of the country, hence why we've had to set up different offices around so that our staff can work remotely and work from different areas. But having a really, really good power team is going to be essential for you. I put mortgage broker, and there's so many mortgage brokers out there, but you want the ones that are creative. You want the ones that are in a position that they're not tied. They can go to, I know everyone says I'm all of market, but you want the creative guys that have the ins with the BDMs at certain places. So power team is going to be really important. How do you find a good power team? Well, you know what? It's just trial and error. It's constantly talking to people, finding out about their experiences, going to networking events, meeting new people, and not just property events, but go to a mortgage event, go to an insurance event, like go to the events where there's going to be 50 insurance brokers there, and you can almost speak to everyone and get to know them, and you can judge who you think is best. But going to the property events, you're probably just going to be in a room full of competition with one or two brokers. So again, networking is going to be key to building your power team. Right, so the milestone. So this is for me the most essential part. So let me just close this. So these can come in different orders as well. Like, for instance, sales memo obviously goes out first, solicitors instructed, but sometimes your mortgage might get submitted before the solicitor, for instance. Your contract pack might get sent out before your mortgage is submitted. Some people won't order searches until the valuation comes back. So this is, in an ideal world, the timeline of how it works. There is a second page, guys, as well. It's not ending here. But in an ideal world, this is kind of the timeline that you would expect a deal to go through. So we start off with a sales memorandum. So again, for some of you guys that haven't got this far yet, the sales memorandum is basically an instruction to both solicitors of the property being sold. It carries the buyer and the seller's solicitor details with also the buyer and the seller's details. It includes the purchase price, and it also includes the terms, if there's any special terms as well. So if it's a 28-day exchange with a quick completion or whatever it might be, there are special terms out there. So that's the instruction that goes out to both of them. Typically then both sets of solicitors would be instructed. Your mortgage broker would be working alongside that and submitting your mortgage. The contract pack is then sent out. So that's everything that we would have gained at the start. So the copy of the tenancy, the rental statements, the gas certificates, electrical certificates, deposits. They then order their searches. Now they might just be local authority searches for some areas. You might need coal searches, you might need flood risk searches. There's all types of searches. Your searches are returned. Again, sometimes that can take a week or two. Other times I've known that they can take 3 months in certain boroughs. So again, this could change. Your inquiries are raised. So these inquiries are raised from the initial contract pack that goes out. And then your survey is booked. Your inquiries start to get replied to, your valuation is booked in, your mortgage is offered. Then when your inquiries are satisfied, the buyer and the sellers are both reported to. If you're buying in a limited company, it might be a requirement that you have to get independent legal advice, so a second solicitor, just to inform you the legalities and the risks of buying in a limited company. Contracts are sent out to be signed, and then you exchange and complete. So that's a rough idea. We have a spreadsheet for this, and it's all time stamped and date stamped as to when we anticipate things to come back, and it allows us to work towards targets. But again, that just gives you an idea on the processes. I'm sure I can share this with you maybe after. We can white label our spreadsheet and you guys can have that complimentary from us to help you guys work on it. Right, I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to crack on. Communication. So yeah, just communicate all the time. Good or bad news, doesn't matter. Never let your buyer or your seller stew on not hearing from you, because I promise you, they'll always think the worst. When communication breaks down, it's usually the biggest reason that deals fall through. Time management, as I said, 9 to 5 hours. If you have a full-time job, make sure, if you can, get your emails out before you start work so everyone knows what they need to do. Chase up your solicitors. Your lunch break, get on the phone if you haven't heard from them. Do that every single day if you want to get your deals through. It's an essential part. Right, so unlocking 5-figure commissions. This is the course that we run. It's the strategy that I use. It's called Overage Sourcing. I may have made that name up, I can't remember. It's just what I call it. Again, if you put that into YouTube, you're probably not going to find anything. And I don't know many other people that are doing it. I've been challenged by some of the top educators as to it being possible, especially with estate agents. Well, as I said, I do it every single day and I work with a lot of estate agents. So let's get into this one anyway, because I'm sure we're going to have lots of questions. So what it essentially is you find a property, and let's say it's listed. Let me give you a live example. So today I was offered a property for £110,000. It's rented out at £500. It's underlet quite big. I need the rent to be £600 for it to stack at 110, and I need that property at around 100,000 for it to work for me. So the offer went in at 100,000. They came back, they wanted 105. I put 102. We agreed at 103. Now, the agreement is that we won't charge them a fee to sell to our investors, but what we will do is sell the property at a premium to our investor and invoice for the difference upon completion. So they've agreed that they're happy to accept 103,000 out of the deal. We sell it for 110. The mortgage goes through at 110. It's registered on land registry at 110, and we make the difference on completion, which is a £7,000 margin. So that's a live deal that we did today. It's under my usual fee. My usual fee is a minimum of 10,000, but we got that one agreed today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some examples just for anyone that wants to understand it a bit more. And then at the end, we are running a Zoom next week if anyone's interested to learn more about the strategy and how it works and how you can get involved as well. But I thought I'll give you 3 quite different examples just for you guys to learn from. So this is a perfect example on how you can work with an estate agent. So this is a property in Barrow-in-Furness in Cumbria. It'd been on with Purple Bricks for a while, 4 months. It hadn't got any traction. Purple Bricks in Cumbria are really bad for answering the phone, so that's probably why. We spoke to the agent. They were happy to put us in touch with the vendor because Purple Bricks don't like to do too much work for their money. We spoke to the vendor and advised how we could get this property sold. This property was sitting empty and he didn't want to put a tenant in there because he didn't want to then niche it to investors. So if there was a homeowner that was interested, he wanted to keep it open. We said to him that we only sell to investors. We have investors that will buy it. So if he wanted to stick a tenant in and start getting income, we'd get it sold for him. Now, we sold that probably within about a week or 2 weeks to one of our investors. We agreed a net price of 94,000 with the vendor, and we sold that for 105,000 to our investor. Now, the key thing to understand is the sold price isn't a premium above market value. 94,000 is a discount below market value. So we're selling at market value to our retail investors, and we're charging the difference between the discounted value and the market value as our fee. So we made a fee of 11,000 there. This one is a direct lead generated from LinkedIn. So we ran a poll about people struggling to sell properties. This one came up. This is quite unique. This was bought in 2007 for 130,000. The credit crunch hit. The arse fell out of the price in Redcar. Still not recovered. It's worth about 90,000 now. He owes 120 on it. So he was £30,000 in negative equity. And no agent would take it on because they didn't understand the solution. Well, the solution is that he has a portfolio with a property that has 60 grand in it. So we suggested to him to speak to a mortgage broker and either refinance it and pull 30 grand out so that he can sell this property, give it back to the bank if that was an option, or just sell that property and have 30 grand in his pocket and 30 grand to sell this. Anyway, we got it agreed for 83. We didn't want to go any more because obviously the guy was paying to sell it anyway. We sold it pretty quickly because it was a good property, good tenanted property. We made a 7 grand fee. Now, again, although that is under our usual fee, it's a lot higher than most other people are probably making. So we're still happy with that kind of fee. This is the third one that I'm going to show you. This is probably one of my most exciting deals that I've done. So I was doing what I usually do when I'm looking at properties. I tend to drop the little yellow man on Google Street View, walk around the local area to just see the 2 nearest streets around it to see if there's anything that stands out that I think I don't like the look of it. So it might be derelict buildings, smashed out pubs. It might be burnt out cars. It could be anything. I want to see, is there a train station at the end? Is there a hospital? Are there schools? Stuff like that. So whilst doing my little walk around, I saw this piece of land with builders boards up. And when I looked, it was about a year old Street View. And when I zoomed in, I saw that there was a mobile number on there. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give the developer a call, see what's happening. Turns out he was 3 months off of completion of these. So we had 6 2-bed terraces, 2 3-bedroom semis, and a freehold block of 3 2-bedroom apartments. Now, these have been with a local agent to sell off plan, and they basically said until they're finished, we can't do anything. And he got the arse with it and ended up just disinstructing them. Now, we got instructed. We said that we'd sell them cheaper off plan, or we'd sell them for more when they were complete. He just wanted to de-risk the site and know that it was sold. So the agreement was whatever we sold before they're complete, we got a certain fee on, and anything that we sold after they were complete, we got a lower fee on. Well, you can bet the acceleration of my sales staff. We did everything we could to get everything sold within record time before they completed everything. So we ended up making £108,000 worth of commission for something that we found on Street View. And this is the proactiveness that I'm talking to you guys about, is you don't have to be on Rightmove all the time. You do have to be on Property Filter all the time because it's a fantastic software. But always be looking to see what else you can get from whatever task or whatever meeting you're doing. Like if you're on Rightmove and you're calling an agent about Coleridge Street, before you hang up the phone, just say to them, is there anything else you think I'll be interested in? It's such a simple question, but they could go, you know what, our value has just gone out to view something quite similar 2 roads down. I can give you the details of that before it goes to market. If you hadn't have asked that question, you would never have known. And you know what? I know it's really cheeky, but sometimes I'll ask that question 3 times. So they give me that one, I go, is there anything else? And anything else? And I'll keep doing it because their brain will start ticking over, trying to think, is there anything else that I can offer them? So if you're going on a viewing, try and not just go 2 hours away to go and see one property. Book as many meetings as you can in with local agents. See if you can meet the valuers. Book yourself in, book the viewing on a night that you know in that particular area there's a property meet going on. Whatever you do, always make sure that you utilize that time and you maximize it to the best of your ability. So let me get rid of this. So as I said, we are running a live Zoom seminar Thursday the 20th of June at 6 p.m. It's a 2-hour seminar. It's going to be talking through everything on how to do it. You'll be provided with the contract, so a white label contract to go out and apply this strategy. You'll see some more examples. I'll show you how to use Rightmove and Property Filter to find these kind of deals. And we'll go in depth on how to find investors that are willing to pay market value, which is something right now which is quite tough. But if you get the deals at the right price and you get the deals with the good yields, then there are still lots of investors out there. I call them retail investors. They haven't been plagued with this BMV word. They're happy to pay full market value. So there is a QR code there, but I'm sure we'll be able to share the links after this. But that's the end of my presentation. I'm looking forward to any questions that we might have.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Paul. So yeah, I'll share your other link you have about the sales made simple as well. So you've got some free resources. You guys can go and have a look. So yeah, that was really, really amazing. Paul, thanks so much for your time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Taking us through these things. So I think there was a few, you dropped a few really good knowledge bomb here. So I really like the sales progression metaphor with the green and you know, pushing the golf ball into the pots, you know, and a really good point you made about, you know, people assume that investors want certain things, you know, and the truth is, if the only investor we know about are going to investor meetings, then it's very limiting. Everybody wants a BRR, everybody wants a, you know, below market value kind of deal. But there's all those retail investors, and quite a few of our sources are on Property Filter. They specialize in selling deals, you know, close to market value because they sell the yield or they sell something else. And this is how they do one a week, you know. And so we tend to be, because we are in this community of you know, property education. We assume everybody wants the same as us, but you have to find those investors that you know, they just don't want to hassle and they want to work with a professional. And so this is where your USP, and you show you can complete on these things. And I really like the idea of working with investors that are brought to you by FCA firms. I think this is incredible, because how can this be better than you know, how can you qualify someone better than that, you know?
Well, I think if someone's paid £4,000 to be told how to invest their money, I think they're going to listen to whatever a financial advisor suggests. So and as I said to you guys, like, network outside of property networking events. This was, I was in Essex for a meeting, and again, like I always do, I thought, you know what, let's see what events are going on, because I was staying overnight. And it was like the local Chelmsford, I don't know, like business event. It sounded dead boring, but I just thought, well, it's better than sitting in my hotel room eating a McDonald's or something. And I went along to it, and yeah, look, there was a mix of people, but I got talking to this financial advisor and got talking about me being in property, and he said, "Oh, we always advise our clients to put a portion of their money into property." I was like, "Oh, fantastic! What kind of things they invested into?" And he was just like, "Oh, no, we don't advise them." And I was like, "So what happens?" He says, "I don't know. We just say, like, we put them into bonds, but we tell them, oh, you've got 200 grand there. I'd advise to go put into property." And I said, "But you have no idea if they do or don't go into property." He said, "No." And just straight away, my mind was just blown, thinking, how many clients has he lost right now that could be potential buyers? And we just kind of agreed, if we could kind of create a one product fits all, so based around yield, price point, and condition of a property, we could qualify people, and if that fits their criteria and their remit, we would just go out and source as many of those properties as we can, because we knew that anyone that was kind of come through the financial advisor, they would be ideal as a client. And we're 4 years down the line with that relationship now, and working really well with them on many different ventures. So yeah, again, it's just the power of networking, guys.
Yeah, awesome. And the proof that if you know your USPs, you understand your investors, your pain point, or the people you want to serve, you can really create this, you said, this one size fits all kind of product around yield, location, and condition, like you know what you're looking for. So some people might, I know when people get started with sourcing, they ask, so should I look for the deal first or the investor first?
It's the chicken or egg, isn't it? For me, there's no right or wrong answer, and it's whatever works for you. If you're asking what I would do, I would definitely do the exercise that I said at the start. Understand who your demographic is, find out what they're looking for, find out if that fits what you're looking to do in your business, and go out and find properties for them. I think the method of going out and getting a property first is very much an estate agent philosophy. It's kind of like we'll get instructed on any and every property out there, and we'll throw it on Rightmove, and it's almost like fishing. It's like you just cast this net out with no expectations and expect to pull loads of buyers in. I think it's all about working smart and not hard. So knowing that I am known as the person for tenanted properties, that's what I'm known as, whether that's to investors or to landlords or to estate agents, whoever it might be, people know me for that one thing. And what it allows me to do is just focus on building that product. And I just get people coming to me, so that I'm not now. So sourcing for me now is not something that I actively do. I have enough estate agents around me that just bring me properties. I have sources that bring me properties. I have I have 2 financial advisory firms now that bring me investors. So I'm almost sitting there with stock and just distributing it now. Don't get me wrong, it's taken me a long time to get to that position, but that's kind of where everyone wants to get to, right? We don't want to be working all the way up to retirement. We want to have processes and automations in place that people are doing the work for us, and we're earning more money. And the real light bulb moment for me was I have this thing that whenever I go on holiday, when I'm at the airport, I always go to WH Smith and find a book that I want to focus on while I'm away. So when I'm on the beach, by the pool, on the boat, whatever it might be, I can just read it and come back from my holiday feeling relaxed, energized, but also motivated that I've learned some new stuff. And I picked this book up by one of my favorite authors and now a good friend of mine called Shah Wuzman, and it's called Do Less, Get More. And it was basically the philosophy of works smart and not hard. And it was all about ask for more than you think someone's willing to pay, and you'll either get more or you'll get what you expected. And I was, at that time, I was kind of charging 2.5, 3 grand for a deal. And the book basically said, charge 4 times as much. So I went in with the expectation of charging £10,000 as a fee. And I was quite shocked that straight away, the first deal that I did, I got 8 grand. And she said it's the saying that she used was, if you shoot for the moon and you miss, at least you're still amongst stars. And what that meant is, if you don't hit 10 grand, at least you're still getting more commission than you originally set out in the first place. You previously were sitting at 2 or 3 grand. You've gone for 10, you've ended on 8. You're still in a fantastic position. Doesn't matter if you didn't get 10, but after a while, your self-worth and your paradigm starts to shift, and you think, no, I'm worth 10, I'm worth more. Mm-hmm. And there's no negotiation on that. There's no movement. The biggest deal that I've done, and I was talking to some guys, I think they're on here actually, I was talking to some guys earlier, is a deal in Cumbria that we negotiated with Purple Bricks for £56,000. And we sold that for £80,000. We made £24,000 commission on an 80 grand sale. And
it's a good, good percentage.
Yeah, I would, look, don't get me wrong, I haven't done one since, but I would never have had the balls to have pitched that deal if I hadn't have picked that book up 6 months prior. Just for the person that asked, the book's called Do Less Get More by Shah Wusman. So it's SHAWASMUND. She's got another one out. I can't remember, but it's a really good one as well. It's another one, and it's just all about, she's a very bullish lady. She is the mentor for Chris Eubank Senior and Jay Alderton, some of the biggest business people. She's a great mentor and business coach, so highly recommend her.
You said something really, really important just earlier, just before we went on about, charging and fees. You talked about, you're doing this now at arm's length because you've built a network, you've built a relationship where the agents bring you deals. So yeah, for those of, most of you guys tonight, you would have heard me speak before, you would have come to these calls before. And, I bang the drum, like it's the unsexy and the contrarian truth behind the success of why Property Filter works so well is that it's not sexy to sell a course and say, go and get deals from agents, So all the educator, they want to, they sell this direct to vendor, below market value and all sorts of.
Yeah, it's the wrong way. It's the wrong way because they teach you only get direct to vendor deals, and they teach you if it's on with an agent, backdoor them. So an agent will block every deal. Go on Companies House or go on Land Registry, find the details and approach them. And it's a really short-sighted method because a vendor could be good for just maybe one property. That might be all they own. And what you've done there is you've burnt a bridge with an agent that could be a lifetime of transactions for you. Exactly. I have agents in Lincolnshire. We've done over 35 property sales, and we're just agreeing another one today. And the benefit and what it is, again, it's the same thing to use. It's understanding their pain points and then using your USP. So their pain point was that they're an independent agent, they're short-staffed, their girls are out all the time on viewings that don't tend to go anywhere. And that means that there's less time that they're out there winning instructions. Now, my pitch to them was, well, if you're saying tenanted properties are really difficult for you to sell because you have trouble getting hold of tenants, you can't get the viewings and taking more of your time, why don't you try me out on one property? Let me show you what we can do. We'll pay you a fee as well as getting a fee from the seller. We'll pay you a little fee. We pay them £500 and we look after the girls. We send them flowers and donuts and champagne. But if we perform, how would you feel if we became your outlet for tenanted buy-to-let stock? And we performed really well. We became the preferred outlet. But then what we also became was their preferred outlet for any stock that didn't have tenants in as well. So any vacant stock, any no chain stock. And we just started expanding what service we could offer. And we've even done a few deals where there are chains involved. where we're the bottom. And we probably do around 20% of their sales now for them. And how he sees that is he's getting more money. He's working smart now. He's getting more money on his instructions, and his team are not having to lift a finger other than whatever we instruct them to do, like survey access or go and get some pictures for us. So again, if you can follow through and do what you say that you can do, regardless of that deal going through, but you've shown that you can do everything possible in a professional way, I promise you, agents will see the value in working with you. And you know what? Let people be taught that you don't work with agents, because that's more and more people that will work with you. It's a lot tougher to work with nationals, I'll be honest. Nationals are really difficult because you're never actually speaking to a decision maker. Independents are really, really good. If you can get in with the regional managers of a national, then that's where you can really make some serious money. I won't say what agency it is, but I'm in with one of the biggest in the Northeast. And any property that is listed with any branch in the Northeast, I only have to give her a call on her mobile, and she will basically tell them exactly what I need and how it needs to be done. And talking about direct to vendor deals,
Paul, do you mind sharing your screen again? For people are asking about the event. There's a lot of questions in the chat. Some of them we covered, and others we can probably come and see you to see more about this.
Just touching though on your direct to vendor thing as well. Every deal that I do through an estate agent, it is compulsory that I then become the point of contact with the vendor. So even getting deals through estate agents, I still effectively get them direct to vendor. And I'm also negotiating an on-market deal to then become an off-market deal. So if that deal was worth 120 and they've reduced it to 110, I will instruct them to put the price back up to 120 and then take that off the market, so that if anyone looks on the back end of like Rightmove and everything like that.
So this is you. You're screwing with all the property filter data.
Sorry?
You're screwing with all the property filter data, and this is you.
Yeah. I'm guilty as charged, but it makes me a healthy fee. Well, no, because what it actually does is I'm listing it at the price that I'm going to sell it for, and not the price that is the reduced price, because the agents have had it for 3 months. So if it's been reduced from 120 down to 110, I'm still going to sell it for 120. So I want that price to go back up to the 120 before that's archived. But the key thing here is an on-market deal can still become an off-market deal. It can still become a direct-to-vendor deal with the right sales negotiation skills. And as I said, we've done one today in the Northeast, which I'm really excited about. It's a really good deal. And we're doing one in Lincolnshire as well, hopefully tomorrow, on a flat. So, yeah. What other questions have we got, mate?
Paul, the link goes to, I think it goes to some sales training. The QR code. What we'll do with the record.
Yeah, there's a pop-up when it goes on to Sales Training Made Simple, and it's for the seminar. Let me just see if I can get the seminar details.
Yeah, and then when we send around the recording, we can share it. Yeah. So.
Any other questions on there, mate?
Yep.
There we go. I'll just
I'm not quite sure with dates. Thursday the 22nd or Tuesday the 20th. I'm not quite sure.
Sorry. There we go. Right, it's in there now.
Right.
There's the Eventbrite link.
Okay, perfect.
So have we got any questions around?
Yes.
Things people want answered?
So let me go back. So let me start from the beginning. So. Yeah, so some of the question I reckon, is it okay if we some of the questions we invite people to come to the webinar? I'm conscious of time. We've been an hour.
Yeah, sure.
So I've covered the main, I think the more valuable question, and I invite everybody who had unanswered question to join Paul's webinar, and go into a lot more details with these things, and I'm sure you'll have time for some of the questions as well. So some questions I'm scared to ask, because we could be at 20 minutes about, what type of sales to ask and stuff like that. So I think it's been really, really amazing. And thank you, Paul, for coming and contribute. think people are not used, as I said before, to hear this kind of things. So we live in this, we have this similar values, with Property Filter, where we look at this contrarian truth, that, and then try to get where it makes sense, and common sense prevails. So thank you so much for that. Thank you everybody for joining us today at the Deal Finder Corner. Really take up Paul's offer today. Come and speak with him at his webinar next week. I'll pop the link in the recording as well.
If anyone wants to connect on socials and reach out that way, just search for Paul Stapleton in all the socials as well.
Yeah, and in the meantime, so please visit propertyfilter.co.uk, log on to your Property Filter account, check out the deal blueprint, define your goldmine area, engage with motivated sellers. From those motivated sellers, you might even find some other deals, by asking 3 times, if the agents have got anything else. Assess properties in seconds and load your pipeline and make deals. Ultimately, have an endless supply of deals, join the top 1% and become a high achiever deal finders. I hope you enjoyed today's Deal Finder Corner. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Paul. Have a great evening and speak soon.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks so much.